So I'm sure many of you experienced this, but before I went to Italy, I was absolutely petrified. I knew it was something I wanted to do. I loved the idea of getting to go to Italy and eat the amazing food, have just the best time ever, but I was petrified. I didn't know any Italian, I didn't know anyone going on the program, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. And while I was excited about the idea of living with a host family, because I realized the benefits that would come from it in terms of how much of the Italian I would learn, and maybe some suggestions on where to go, I was still pretty anxious. I was pretty shy, didn't really want to put myself out there, but I figured it'd be worth it in the end. So this is the apartment where I lived. It was via our Lamborghini, and there's just something about the apartments in Italy that just made you, I don't know, it felt like home the moment I got there. The first month that I lived with my Italian host family, we had a Japanese student who only spoke a little Italian, Japanese, and then my roommate Mackenzie and I, who spoke Italian. I don't know, for maybe 3 days we've had Italian class, and then English. And so there we are at dinner, my host mom Ursula, my host brother Raffaele, and Kaio, and who was there with her Japanese. So that was probably the most interesting experience ever. You don't really know what you're getting into when you can't speak the language, but we were still trying to communicate. So our dinner turned into more of a game of charades than anything else. I'd have my dictionary, look up a word that I was trying to say. It didn't really work out. So it was just a bunch of like, well, will you pass the, coffee? But it was an entertaining time. This photo was taken the last day that Mackenzie and I lived with Ursula, and this is a drawing that my roommate did from a photograph of Ursula and her son. And I don't know, like, there's something about Ursula that I feel like in the photo you can just kind of see like the bond that we had formed together. She told us upon arrival that they were going to become our Italian family. Anything we needed, any questions we had, that she was there to ask, that she was going to be our Italian mother. And I really feel like she lived up to that promise. She also did tell us that she spoke special English, and that if we had trouble interpreting her, well, we'd learn. One such example was the first day that she came in and told us that she was going to be changing the sheets on our bed. The way she phrased it was that she would be changing our skins. I had absolutely no idea what she meant. We spent a good 5 minutes standing in there trying to figure out what it was until she walked over to the bed and picked up the sheet and was like, this. I was like, oh, you're going to change our sheets? No, I'm changing your skins. Why, yes, of course you are. This is my host brother Raffaele. He's 29 and currently still living at home and is a student. And I think my favorite thing about Raffaele was that he was so open and accepting of having students in his house, and he was frustrated by my lack of Italian speaking capabilities at first, but he took time with me at dinner every night and we did like a little Italian grammar lesson. And it was just so much fun. Like, it was a neat way to bond. He was very accepting, and if you had a challenge, he'd kind of like shrug it off and laugh. But it was great to have someone there. Like, I knew I could count on him for whatever. And this is his fiancée Valeria, who was also a part of our dinner. She would always come over for dinner on Sunday nights, and it really did feel like a family. You have that, community that you can come home to, and it's okay. If you have a rough day, they're there to make it better. If you're confused about something, they've got suggestions. And she was just so much fun. It's just one of those things she's still there. I send her emails all the time. And that's my host brother and Mackenzie. And you can't really see it, but right here is a drawing that my roommate did of a squirrel. We had a discussion at dinner one night about squirrels. I'm not really sure how it came up, but my host mom didn't know what it was, and it's not in the Italian dictionary, the squirrel. And so we drew this cartoon drawing, and we tried explaining what a squirrel was, and my host mom finally kind of got it. And she looks at me and she goes, "Kelly, a squirrel, you eat carrot all the time." So I mean, like, we just had like this commonality and sense of humor. She often would call my roommate and I furbacchione, which means essentially smart aleck in Italian, just because we would crack jokes which aren't necessarily able to be translated, but we made it work. And that was also, again, the last day. And in talking with I met a lot of other American students who were studying in Florence while we were there. And in the conversations we would have, people would, say, like, "Where are you living?" And we're like, "Oh, I'm living with a host family on this side of town." I'm like, "Oh, really? What's that all about? Why are you living with a host family? Why don't you want to live in an apartment with all these American students?" And I'm like, "No, I like it the way it is." My host family, provides support and love, and I've learned so much from them, not just about, Italian culture or how to cook the most amazing Italian food I've ever eaten. I learned how to be a better person. I now realize the importance of family, and that it's not just necessarily your blood relatives that are your family. Ursula's going to be there for me whenever. She told me when I was leaving that I am welcome in her home anytime, that I can come to Italy. She'll give me a key to her apartment, a key to her car, even if she's not there, and I can stay, or she'd love to have me for a summer. And I just feel like there's nothing better than knowing that there are people all around the world who care about you, and that I then in turn want to spread that love onto other people. I had a little clip from a friend, but skip that. And I don't know if you can tell, but in this photo I have tears streaming down my face the day that I left, as did my host mom. And all she could tell me was that it was going to be okay, and that she would see me again soon, and that she loved me like I really was her own daughter. And I just can't imagine living in Italy without her.